Hi, everyone. This is Heather Vickery, and you've tuned in to the Brave Files podcast. Welcome to 2021, friends. I am so excited to start this brave new journey with you. We have learned so many lessons in the past year. We have so much to be grateful for, and yet there are so many things that we want to do different, bigger, better, bolder, smarter in this new year that we have now been gifted. And I'm curious, how many of you end your workday feeling guilty? And maybe you don't even know why you feel guilty or what you feel guilty about. Do you end your workday feeling frustrated or overly tired? Well, my friend, that's a sure sign of burnout. And it doesn't have to be that way. I promise. We talk about this a lot when I teach and speak the Brave Method. But this week's guest, Hannah Hassler, joins us to talk about her journey through professional burnout. She was a teacher, and it was a coveted job that she actually loved. But after lots of doctor's visits and several anxiety attacks, she finally decided to quit that teaching job and find her truth. This is a conversation about overcoming doubt. It's about resiliency and the joy of being your own boss, among many, many other things. Some other hot topics we discuss are our innate desires as humans to be with and around others. We're not a species designed to thrive alone. If you're feeling lost or unsure, you will feel better if you reach out to people that you trust. And trust me, it's not a weak thing to lean on others. In fact, those that utilize a strong community and support system are notably healthier and happier people. It's one of the things I love about our Brave on Purpose community. If you're not already a member, it's free. Come hang out at Brave on Purpose. We are in Facebook. Just search up Brave on Purpose, because leaning in, lifting up, putting your hand down and supporting other people, building community is one of the strongest, most resilient, healthy choices we can make as humans, and especially as entrepreneurs if you are one. In this conversation with Hannah, we also talk about resiliency in general. Resiliency also happens to be part of the 3 R's in the Brave Method, which is the coaching platform I use, and it's the basis for everything we do and the inspiration for this very podcast. Resiliency, my friends, is a choice. Most often, it's the choice that will present itself over and over. It keeps showing up. So pay attention. You are far more resilient than you think you are. This is not something you're born with or not born with. You can learn it. It is a learned behavior. I'm super excited to share this engaging and hopeful conversation with you. So let's go ahead and get started.
Expand, express, embody.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hi, everybody. How many of you out there regularly feel like you're less than, or you just simply can't give enough because society's pressure makes us feel like crap? There's all this guilt and we're burnt out and we're tired. Do you feel that way? Because I'm raising my hand over here on this side of the microphone. Well, today's guest, Hannah Hassler, is here to talk about her experience as a teacher in this country dealing with this very same issue and what she chose to do about it. I love this brave journey, and I'm so excited to have you here with us, Hannah. Welcome to the Brave Files.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, absolutely. And this has, of course, taken us a little longer to get together than we would have desired due to our friend pandemic. But and also, I'm so curious to hear how that's affected everything that you're up to. So give folks a little bit of a background. You come from a teaching background, and tell people what led you to teaching and then what you discovered about yourself in that process.
Yeah. So my husband and I, maybe 6 or 7 years ago now, we had moved to Texas, and I was transitioning out of juvenile corrections, and I loved working with kids and have always loved, kind of the idea of education. And I thought, hey, maybe this would be a good time to kind of go back and finish what I would need to get into teaching. So I did that. And I was teaching English in a middle school in Texas. And I mean, there are some really amazing things about teaching. The relationships and the connections and the kids. And if you're passionate about your content, there can be so much good there. And huge shout out to teachers who are who are continuing to teach
Right.
through COVID. Like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't imagine trying to do it all from a computer, like juggling remote kids and in-school kids. So shout out there. But for me personally, it just started to take a massive toll on my physical health, on my personal life, on just kind of my emotional ability to like live every day, kind of like a life that felt good for me. And that came from so many factors. State testing pressure is massive, and it's connected to funding, and it's connected to kids making it to the next grade. And that's just like this constant pressure. And, teachers are doing so much paperwork and meetings and dealing, with parent issues and student issues and behavior issues and like always more things. And then just expectations to be a good teacher means that you're going to the band concert and the football game, and you're coming early to tutor, and you're staying late to run the anime club, and you're coming in on the weekend to do Saturday school.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's so many things that we kind of wrap up into being a good teacher. Well, if your kids don't have the stuff, you're buying it, and class is fun, and class is engaging, and it's really a lot.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. So I kind of reached a point where I felt like I was kind of living up to this idea of being a good teacher, and I was doing all of the things. And then I started to have panic attacks where and they would only happen during my conference period if I was like in my room totally alone, which wasn't like every day, but usually like a couple days a week. And at first, my take on it, like I said to my husband, you're like, well, thank goodness that it's like on my conference period, because, it would just really be rough to have a room full of 12-year-olds and like spiral into a panic attack. And then kind of on further reflection, I was like, oh my gosh, I basically am having a panic attack every time I'm like left alone in a silent space.
That's sad. That's not okay. That's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah. And it was kind of like all of these pressures and all of these things to do. Like on one hand, I was kind of resenting them and feeling, the weight of them. But on the other hand, I was kind of feeding into it by like, I'm always moving, I'm always going, I'm always doing. There's always 12 more things I could be doing, in this moment. And like when I got left alone in an empty room and just had a moment, it was like I was just falling apart, with a spare moment that wasn't filled with 20 things that I needed to be doing in other people's voices. And
I think a lot of people are like that. I have a really good friend who says she can't do yoga because that silence, that space and silence with herself, she's like, I'll just break. And I can't do it. I can't set myself up to break. I think there is this whole culture of just stay busy so you don't have to think about it. But that's so unhealthy.
Yeah. And I'm definitely one of those people and one of the things that kind of was so beneficial for me was doing like walking meditations. Because it was like, I don't think I can be still by myself, but a therapist I was working with suggested, choosing like just something simple, like, I am at peace, and just repeating it with your footsteps, whether you're walking fast, walking slow, just pick a mantra that feels good.
So a mantra, like a walking mantra. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I am at peace is a great one. Or I tell folks all the time, I'm in the process.
Yeah.
All right. Like whatever. Like I don't have to know all the answers. I'm not there. I'm in the process.
Yeah. Sometimes literally I would just like go for these walks and my mantra would be like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just like everything is okay. And like, so just choosing something that feels good. And then, to your friend's point of like, it's really hard to be still in a room and alone. The mantras kind of helped me. Like there's still a little movement, like some of that energy is still getting directed out. I don't feel like I'm having to hold it all, but also like it's kind of just keep bringing your thoughts back to something. And yeah, I don't know how long I would have stayed in that space. And then, but I also I was having these stomach problems, and I went to a GI specialist, and she diagnosed me with stress-induced IBS. And she said, if you plan to continue teaching long-term, just understand, like, you will ruin your stomach if something major doesn't change. And that was kind of a wake-up call too.
Yeah, like your body will physically manifest this in really dangerous ways if you continue to ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you started to feel that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, I was holding so much tension in my body, just like the physical, like in my shoulders and my back. I was having headaches. I was having IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, if people aren't familiar. And that's not fun.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah. So, just kind of like all of these kind of physical manifestations, along with kind of the anxiety, panic issues, were just all really kind of culminating. And then, but still there's that pressure of like, I want to be a good teacher, and I don't feel like I can just show up when the bell rings and leave when the bell rings at the end of the day and not do anything extra and not pour everything into these kids, because students deserve a teacher who cares and who does show up. So it's a very hard kind of place to find a balance when you feel the pressure of these young people that you really care about and you want to show up for.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started to become very apparent this was not sustainable for you. And what did you do?
Yeah, so I was working with a counselor, which was really good because she did kind of help me do some of this like introspection work and understand like I need to transition out. And honestly, going into my 4th year of teaching, I already knew like, but I think sometimes what happens with teaching is like during the year, no matter how hard it feels, you get to the end and then you have the summer and then you feel like, okay, it wasn't even that bad. Like you kind of keep like putting yourself through the ringer.
Well, that's like childbirth. I don't know actually if you have children, but by the time they're like 18 months old, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like we just forget it's really totally that bad. But if we remembered how bad it was, there would be no species. Like we would just stop birthing. So
yeah, and arguably, I feel like if we didn't have summer breaks, there's a whole lot of teachers who couldn't make it through like a sustained year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And all these parents home with their kids during COVID are like, oh yes, summer breaks. I see why we have to have those for the teachers' mental health.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I had already kind of turned the corner in my own mind of like, I need to not go back to teaching. I don't care if I tell myself everything's fine. I need to not. And then my husband got offered a job in Arizona, which involved a move. So the district, did say that they would release me from my contract since we were moving out of state. And then I kind of had this like that pivotal moment of like, okay, I can get my Arizona teaching license. Arizona needs teachers. Like I got offered teaching jobs without even like making an effort, where it was like, oh, I could just teach in Arizona. That would be different. And then also knowing internally, like, no, like if you do that, then all of a sudden 4 more years will have gone by. And like, you need to just make a break and make a change and like kind of step out in faith. And so I did. I had been looking at the online world for a while. I felt like there was a lot of promise there. So I decided to kind of commit to a virtual assisting program as just a starting point, get my feet wet, see what I thought. And so January of 2019, I started the program and kind of went all in on it. And I was really able to make that work, to replace my teaching income and be able to stay home and do that. And since then, I've had some other transitions as well. But I've stayed remote, I've stayed online, and I'm really loving it. It's been so much better for me.
That's awesome. And so did you feel like, at what phase did you feel better? Was it instant? I hear this from some people, like as soon as I made this decision to create this change, like my whole body shifted, my whole mind shifted, or was it more of a process for you?
There was like an immediate, just like letting it go and just knowing in like every cell of my being, like it was the right thing to do. So there was like sort of an immediate sort of payoff in terms of that. But then also like, immediately your mind shifts to like, I mean, teaching was a source of benefits and insurance and income that like I'm not in a position to just live without income. So there was kind of a shift where there was, kind of a different form of stress from that. And honestly, my husband, I feel like oftentimes is the first one to believe in me above myself. And he was, I was like, really? Like, really? Can I just leave teaching? I'm not teaching anymore. I'm like full-time online. We don't even know if I can make money with that. And he's like, yes, we do. You're more than capable. You've wanted this for a long time. Pay for the program. It's going to work out. Like, and so I think having that was like an important little extra push that just helped me believe that it was going to work.
That's awesome. Having a support system is so incredibly important. And even for those of you listening who maybe live on your own or don't have, loved ones close by, find a way to create a support system for yourself. And that may mean getting out of your comfort zone. It may mean joining groups or trying different volunteer activities or whatever it is. But we are not a species designed to thrive alone.
Yes, so true. And it was interesting because so the program that I paid for was a group coaching program. And there was a number of people in it who were in their mid to later 20s, not necessarily married yet, some somewhere. But one of the sticking points for kind of a few people was sort of justifying, getting into the online world to family members who didn't necessarily understand that.
Sure.
And then also justifying the investment. Like it costs money, to do the training program and learn how to do this. And some people really struggled with that and kind of justifying it to other people. And my honest truth is, so my husband knew what it costs. We share finances. He knew. But other friends and family, I was very vague / like, oh yeah, it was this, it was a little.
It's nobody's business though. What you spend on your self-development or business development.
No, it's so true.
Nobody
but it
gets
was
to know that. That's not their
people struggled with. Like my mom wants to know, or my sister wants to know, or my friend wants to know. And if I tell them, I feel like they're gonna, judge. And that my judgment. Solution was like, I just didn't tell them what it cost. Because but
they don't need to know.
Yeah.
We're like, as a society, we need to stop asking questions like that. Do not ask people that. Don't ask people how much something cost. Don't ask them who birthed their babies. As a lesbian couple, like you would be, it happens all the time. Oh, wow. Because I'm an out lesbian. I have 4 daughters. I was married to a man for a really long time. I had 4 daughters with him, but they don't know that. And so they'll go, oh, did you adopt your kids? Like, what, really? First of all, did you adopt yours? Like, who asked that question? And second of all, no. People, come on. We don't need to do this to other people. Mind your business, support, leave space for people, give them encouragement, but we don't need to ask that stuff.
That's so true.
This is really fascinating. Okay, so you then took this brave step to do something very different, although that built off of the talents and the skills that you had as a teacher. And still what I'm hearing you say is there was some part of you that was afraid that your society, your family, your friends might judge this decision. So we have all this pressure. How did you pivot that, and how have you shifted through that? And then you coach people on this, right? How do you use it to help others?
Yeah, so I think that so much of it really does come back to just doing the personal work, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with kind of Byron Katie and her philosophy of the work, but one of the things that I've really taken from that just really resonates in my own life is this idea that the core sort of message that you try to push onto other people or that you think you need from other people is the message that you need from yourself, and it's your responsibility. So kind of as an example, it can be easy to feel like, I need I need to be validated. I need other people to tell me that this is worth my time, or that this is a good idea, or that this makes sense for my family. And then it's like, if it's so important for me to get that message from other people, that's the message that I need. That's the validation I'm craving, that I am capable of providing for myself. I can sit down and look at the numbers and look at the opportunity and decide this is worthwhile, this is valuable, and this is something I'm pursuing for myself. End of story. I give myself the message that I need.
Yes. And you give yourself permission.
Yes.
There's so much. We are conditioned, especially as women, but not just women, to think we need permission for whatever, to feel a certain way, to do a certain thing, to buy something. And I tell clients all the time, I give you permission to give yourself permission. You don't need my permission, but it'll make you feel better. So take it. You can give you, and I will have some people who really struggle with it. And I wonder what you think about this. Literally say it out loud. I give myself permission to X.
It feels so good. Yeah, that was like a practice that I did for a while, especially in the beginning when I was kind of getting used to like, oh, like I'm going to run this business and I'm going to do this thing. And it's really hard. And sometimes it's something that I still have to like, kind of dig into like believing that I am capable of, having the voice and the face of something important and something that matters and speaking that and owning that. But especially early on, that whole concept of I can give myself permission and I am is very powerful.
Yeah. It's so powerful. I love it. So as you've gone through this, you found yourself having panic attacks. You couldn't sit in stillness alone. You had to move. What I will say that I love that while being alone and still was unmanageable, you pushed yourself just a little, okay, but can I be alone and move, right? Yeah. Like you started to ease your way into, I don't know what's going to solve this, but let me try this thing and see if it works. And I feel like life and business and everything is so much about, let's try this little baby step. And how does that feel? And is that closer to where I want to be, or is it further away from where I want to be? And reassessing and pushing yourself. But as you went through all of that, what would you say was the biggest struggle for you?
I think one big struggle really is like showing up consistently regardless of how something feels. And I mean, I don't mean to keep doing something that obviously just like feels like it's not aligned with who you are. But, you can get into a practice like journaling or walking meditations or yoga, or things that have a positive impact. And, it's really easy to do them, the first 3 days or the first 7 days. And then one day you feel tired and you don't feel in the mood and you feel like what would really help you is Netflix binging or pizza eating or, we reach this point with things we know are good for us where we just kind of feel over it and choosing to continue anyways. I mean, really being consistent even when, my journaling doesn't feel enlightened and my walking meditations feel boring and I'm not in the mood, like showing up. Like that's what makes a difference. Showing up.
That is, I was chatting with a client not that long ago about what it meant to be resilient. And I've studied resiliency. I'm certified in positive psychology, and that's part of it. And resiliency is, as I'm sure you know, and the listeners have probably heard me say, but a key indicator towards whether or not you will be successful. You have to be resilient. But resiliency doesn't always look like moving mountains or having the answer to everything. Most of the time, resiliency is literally just showing up again, showing up and trying again and doing it maybe a little differently. Just like you said, showing up and showing up and showing up. So yeah, I love that. Has there been a moment for you that was unexpectedly joyful?
I think like this kind of moment in my own life of kind of like picking my head up from, all of this like work I'm doing to get my business off the ground and get everything going, and really just kind of realizing like I've done it. I work from home. I've taken so much stress off of my body and my mind. I'm so happy. And I think I'm one of these people that it's just like,
I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Like if I want to take a bubble bath at 11 a.m., like nailed it. I'm going to do that. Like I love having that kind of like flexibility in my life. And that's joyful for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so joyful. And I love it. And I can hear the joy and the energy in your voice. And I also know we have some people who are going to listen, who are going to say, oh, wow, well, Hannah has it all figured out. She's joyful all the time. Nothing's ever hard. She can do anything. She's superwoman. Is that true?
No. And I think it just
I didn't think so.
It's just like, it goes back to showing up, and I think that one of the biggest kind of takeaways that I have from my teaching career is that when you're teaching, you can be, in your living room at home and you come up with this lesson plan and it's a beautiful lesson plan. Oh my gosh, right? You feel so good about it. Like, look at this, it's engaging and we're just learning and everything is so perfect. And then you go to the classroom and you teach it to your first period and you're like, what the actual heck? Like, that was the worst lesson that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Like the wheels fell off. There was a missing connection. Yeah. It didn't go like you thought. It took too long, or it was done in 5 minutes, or like just everything went wrong on it. And then as a teacher, it's like, okay, that happened to you in first period. You have 7 more periods to go. And like the bell is ringing. There's 4 minutes. So you have another 30 kids sitting in your room. And all you have is this piece of, I don't know if you swear in your podcast, I forget. But you have a terrible lesson, And it's
we love bad words.
Okay.
So you can use all the bad words here.
I was thinking so. And then I was like, well, I don't want to have my lines crossed. And so it's just like, as a teacher, you can't just like hit pause or like, just kidding, this is terrible. This is what you literally have to work with for the whole rest of your day. You just got to change it. You got to change what you can, do what you can, and just keep rolling with it. And I feel like becoming an online business owner is very much the same. You can make like business plans for days and everything can look so good on paper. But like when you go to do it, some of it, it's just like, this is a shit show. What?
It doesn't work.
What?
Does not work as intended. I always say make a plan and just see what happens. And if that doesn't work, make a different plan. I saw somebody speak at a conference once. So here we go with the bad words. He was like, the best way to be successful in business is to make a plan, fuck it up, make a plan, fuck it up, make a new plan, fuck it up until you get to something that works well enough.
Yeah.
And then when you fuck that up, make a new plan.
Yes.
We've got to just be flexible and malleable and cut yourself a little slack, right? I mean, I don't think you could possibly, what I love is that you are happy and you are joyful. And it doesn't mean that is you all the time, but it wins more of the time than it doesn't. And we're never happy all of the time. And quite frankly, I don't really think we want to be. Like, you can't actually know joy if you haven't known sorrow. You can't know happiness if you don't know unhappiness. Like, we need those feelings and emotions so that we can recognize that what this is good and we want to replicate it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't have anything to contrast it against, then it's just a neutral state of being that doesn't hold very much meaning when you are joyful or you are happy. So definitely, and I think expect that some things are just going to go wildly wrong. And even if it feels miserable in the moment, you can kind of have fun with it. If you knew it was coming and you expected it anyways, it's a lot easier to be able to keep moving than if you feel like it just ended the world and like what happened. And obviously you're not qualified now. Look at you, when you know it's coming, you can be a lot more relaxed about it when it comes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it definitely does sound like you're pretty well grounded and rooted. Do you have any particular daily grounding rituals that serve you well?
Yes. So I do. I don't know if you are familiar with Julia Cameron. She does The Artist's Way, which is a kind of a 12-week program in a book form.
Yeah.
But one of her big things is morning pages, which is just, she says 3 pages of journaling every morning. And when I started implementing that, I really enjoyed it. And one of her kind of points to it, she's like, some people are like, how can you write, 3 pages every day? But it's, if you show up for your 3 pages every day and they're just wildly boring to you, or you feel like all you do is complain about the same crap every day, you get tired of your own crap, It's like, really? Am I going to write again about this client problem or that thing I hate in my life? Like, maybe I should just take some initiative here. Like, I'm sick of writing about it. I just would like it to be different. And it kind of can like motivate you to, and then also on the flip side, noticing things that you feel gratitude for and joy for, and the things you love. So I really like doing that. And then I kind of have like a special little area of my office that I have some Florida water, which I just like love the smell of, and kind of some.
What is that? Florida water. What is Florida water?
So
I've been to Florida and I've seen the water. But
yeah. No, it has not. I don't think it has anything to do with Florida. It's like I don't know what the base even is. I know some of them, the base I think might be like an alcohol, and then there's different like essential oil or like scents in it. And I experienced it at like a retreat that I had gone to that was kind of based on, like neuroscience and meditation and everything. And we used it there, and I just loved the smell. So I have some in a spray bottle. Like, I'll just spray it in my hands and just like breathe it in, like 3 deep breaths. And I just find it so just calming. And I have a little meditation cushion I sit on. And sometimes meditation is something I'm working on, like still seated meditation. I wouldn't say it's my strongest suit, but it's something that I try to practice a little day, even if it's 5 minutes. Sometimes I just magically go longer, and sometimes 5 minutes is like, it feels like someone grinding me down. Like, how long can 5 minutes be?
I totally get that.
Yeah. So I have some other things there that, like, if the meditation is like very short, because it just is what it is. I have this sand labyrinth where it's like a little, it's a round labyrinth that's carved into wood, and then there's sand over it. And so you like really slowly trace it. And then this labyrinth, sort of appears when you're done. And I really love doing that. It's just like peaceful, and it brings me to the moment and brings me here. So
I love that. I think that's great. And you mentioned gratitude. I'm a big fan. I've written 2 books and journals on gratitude. How do you practice gratitude?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll, like, if I'm doing it in journaling, I'll just make lists of things that I'm grateful for. Like, I'll work it into my morning pages. And then something that doesn't necessarily use the word gratitude, but gets at the same heart of it to me, is I have 2 prompts that I love. And one is, what is true in your life right now? And the other is, what is beautiful in your life right now?
Oh, I love those.
Yes, I love those 2. Those came from the book Awaken Your Genius by Carolyn Elliott. And I when I respond to those, down. Yes, I mean, so good. And like, when I respond to those, I feel like everything I write is gratitude, just, without using the word per se.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't help but be.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I love that one. Awesome. Well, this is a great lead-in to ask one of my very favorite questions, and I just get such a tickle out of hearing everybody's answer. How do you celebrate success?
Oh, man. So if it's just like doing like a at-home personal celebration, I mean, a lot of times I'll try to just find like a book that I've really wanted to read. I have so many books. So I'll give myself just space, like pick one of these books that you've wanted to read.
Me too.
Yes. I'll like make some tea or make a little like snack plate. I might take a bubble bath. Like, I just like do these things that are just fun and celebratory, and I like them. And sometimes when I do them in my life, like, oh, I'm so busy. And so giving myself this like free space of like, you have 4 hours, only things that you like really want in the 4 hours is fun. Yes. And then if I'm celebrating something bigger, a lot of times my husband and I will either go out to eat, or we'll like buy kind of like expensive ingredients and like cook at home and play music and just kind of have fun with that. So sometimes I bring other people into my celebratory nature, but
I love it. Yeah, I think there's something really magical about bringing other people into it, even if it's a celebratory text or a fist pump or whatever. I mean, celebration can be anything from pausing and like being like, yes, I did it, to, a trip around the world. Like, it can be anything that you want. So it's so important to take the time to pause and acknowledge a thing that is good or beautiful, that we worked hard for, that we're proud of, that helps keep us out of a state of burnout and out of a state of it's not all enough, because you then see that it is enough. So
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. And I also am so excited to hear from you. We really here at the Brave Files are deeply committed to supporting everyone, lifting everyone up as a global community, showing up for one another in a way that is true and honest and important. And so, what is your favorite charitable organization to support?
Yeah, so a recent organization that I'm just excited about is Reach Out and Read. And it makes my English heart happy, my English teacher heart. But they do a lot of, yes, like working with, they kind of partner with physicians and families and in various communities to help kind of address some of those gaps that can happen, reading wise. And I love their work, and reading is so important. I love it if anyone's reading more. So
yes, it's so important. And so do you know how this organization, like how do they help people? And are they local to you, or are they international or national?
No, they're not local to me per se, but they have a couple different initiatives. One of them is partnering with families and then medical providers of children who have developmental disabilities, to help them find ways to like bring reading into their routine and kind of ways of being. They also have an initiative for military families where they help provide reading materials and resources to them. And then they also have two initiatives. One is an American Indian Alaska Native initiative where they partner with the, I believe, American Academy of Pediatrics and then the Indian Health Services to, again, work with literacy and, really partner with them on that. And then also Spanish, and I think it's Leyendo Juntos, but I may be mispronouncing that. I apologize if someone has better Spanish than me. And
that's okay.
Yes, and I think that's translated to reading together. And again, when I was teaching in Texas, I had a lot of students whose primary language had been Spanish, and by middle school, a lot of times had transitioned fairly well to English. But it was such a need, kind of finding ways to be able to honor both languages and help students feel comfortable in English. So yeah, so I love the ways that they provide support for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. So they will be our charity of the week. We will share their contact information in our show notes and also give them lots of social media love. And I ask you all, as I do every week, get to know them, take some time, see if there's a way to support them with time, money, social media shares, anything you can think of. We are better when we work together. So I love that. Thank you so much. I just love your positive energy and the fact that when you felt like you were going to break, you figured out how to put yourself back together. And it doesn't always work and it's not always easy, but it's better than where you were. And it's such a beautiful story of struggle and overcoming and staying present and being in touch and in tune with yourself. So it's really beautiful. And I am so glad that you shared it with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I loved having a chance to connect with you.
It was great. Before we go, can you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Yeah. Expand, express, embody.
So I think they're amazing words. I would love to know what made you pick them. What do they symbolize for you?
Yeah, a bunch of my kind of journaling and processing, I had kind of distilled down for myself that those 3 components were so essential. So the embodiment, right, really being in my body, being grounded, being here, being present. And then expression, I'm someone who tends to minimize myself and minimize my voice. And something that's been really important to me this year and kind of through this transition process has been speaking my truth and honoring my voice and looking for ways to express this kind of fullness of who I am. And moving into the online space, there's that whole element of like, things can become very curated in a certain way that can, again, begin to feel confining. Like, this is who you're supposed to be if you're coaching or if you're, So kind of, again, looking for that.
Absolutely.
Grounded embodiedness in who I am, and then using that as a way of expressing the fullness of who I am. And then with expansion, the excitement of looking for new things to do or new ways of being and new ways of thinking, and not kind of constricting yourself down to fit a stereotype or a cliche or, kind of an expectation that you feel the pressure of, which happened to me really majorly when I was teaching.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Those are beautiful. Thank you so much for that deeper explanation. Sometimes we hear people's 3 words and there's not much to dig in on, but that was really lovely. Again, thank you so much for being here, for sharing a little bit of your joy and your inspiration with all of us. I know it's going to just light some folks up and send them on for a great day. So thank you, Hannah.
Yes, thank you so much, Heather.
Okay, so listeners, what are you going to do with this, right? How are you going to push back when society tells you you have to behave a certain way or do a certain thing? How are you going to release the guilt and allow yourself to be whole and grounded and expand and embody the person that you want to be instead of who somebody else tells you you're supposed to be? I want to hear all about it. You can give me a call at 312-646-0205, or you can send an email. The email is heather@vickeryandco.com. I'm easy to find. If you enjoy the show, do me a favor, share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen. It's a joy to be with you every week, and I can't wait to connect with you next week. So this is Heather Vickery reminding you now and always to go out and choose bravely. Hey friends, I want to share something really exciting with you. We already know you enjoy listening to podcasts because you're listening to this one, but I'm also betting you enjoy audiobooks. And hey, listen, if you don't already enjoy audiobooks, then it's time to check them out. That's why I'm really excited to share Libro.fm with you. They are an incredible new platform for listening to audiobooks. And by choosing Libro.fm over other audiobook services, you are supporting a local bookstore of your choice and investing in your local community. Libro.fm offers over 150,000 audiobooks via their primary platform, which, by the way, they built with love and from scratch because they're a small business also. They even offer bookseller recommendations for great audiobook options. You can sign up right now via www.vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. That's vickeryandco.com/LIBROFM. And when you do, you'll get one free audiobook of your choice, and the proceeds will go to your favorite local bookstore. Now, check what I just said there. You're going to get a free book, and the proceeds are still going to go to your local bookstore because Libro.fm makes sure that their booksellers get paid even when they give a promo to customers. I've listened to over 20 audiobooks this year alone. I especially love listening to memoirs read by the author, and it feels great knowing that all of my purchases support my local bookstore, The Book Table, in Oak Park, Illinois. Libro.fm. The same audiobooks, the same price, but a completely different story. Check them out right now at vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Maybe you've had this thought and then quickly shut it down because who has the time? Or you don't know how, or gosh, it just all seems too hard. If you have something to share with the world, we want to encourage you to get your message out. The world needs to hear it. Did you know that 50% of all homes are podcast fans? If you've ever wondered about having your own podcast or how it can increase your business or get your message across, then please join me and the other experts from the Podcast Power Academy for our monthly free Q&A session. It's called So You Want to Start a Podcast? This casual live conversation will help you understand how podcasting can be a great decision, why now is the best time to get started, and how to get into action with it. Visit podcastpoweracademy.com to learn more. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories of people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes and full episode transcripts, or to get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we would love to know what you think of the show. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching. coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music was created and produced in a custom collaboration with Matt Lewis from ML Creative Consulting, a boutique firm dedicated to helping clients identify their unique sound and amplify their brand with custom delivered soundtracks. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to everyone on Team Brave, from our producers, associate producers, copy editors, writers, and support team. Special thanks to Molly, Mary, Kim, Sabra, and Sabrina. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.